appreciate it, man.
No problem, man.
Especially because, I speak about foundations and legendary status and what have you, but when it comes to someone like yourself, to think that where your career started, as far as I knew anyway, you're probably going to tell me more, but as far as I knew from Voodoo Ray back in those times, and you're probably as busy, if not more busier now. I've seen some of your gigs, most recent gigs. It's like, it's not easy to maintain a career that's over 35 years.
Yeah, long.
I know you have been watching the podcast.
Yeah.
We like to start from people's earliest memories, going back to even their childhood, and then come right the way through. And I'm fascinated to hear that story, as I'm sure like the viewers and listeners are as well. So kind of like fill me in on your like earliest memories, where you're from, family, etc.
Yeah, I'm from Manchester, and I never really got too strong into the football and all that, because it was just like too much to decide, this team, that team, whatever. But seriously, like my parents, my mom was obviously, she encouraged like me and my brother, basically, and my sister to get into the music.
Oh, really? From young?
From really young. Like Jackson 5 cartoon was still on.
Right, imagine that, boy. I mean, a lot of people ain't gonna know about that, but you brought me back with a Jackson 5 cartoon on a Saturday morning.
So yeah, from then, and like, but her angle was obviously like the church,
Of course, yeah.
So, and like when we used to go to the church, there would be, it's almost like we were lucky in a way, because there was like a live jam every Sunday. So like there was a bass guy, there was drums, there was guitar, and obviously everyone was singing and everything. So that was every Sunday. So we just took that for granted. Kind of started like that. And by the time we was, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8, she brought a piano into the house and kind of got us to go to piano lessons and stuff like that. So we kind of had this basis of like basic piano and stuff like this. I'm gonna cut forward even a little bit more. By the time we was in like secondary school, was kind of not so like good. Started doing naughty stuff. Ended up in a kids' home kind of vibe.
Before you tell me about the naughty bits and how you got into a home, which sounds mad considering you come from a good home. Right.
Yeah.
How many siblings did you have?
2. So like a older sister and a younger brother.
Right, so you're the middle child.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you find that? Because I know I'm a middle child, and I know that I took full advantage of that.
I don't know. I was. I think I was a quiet one, so I kind of, I just went and did my own thing anyway. Like I didn't really kind of get too much into the hassles of kind of sibling arguing and all this. Not too strong anyway.
Yeah.
And so we would go to the music shops. There was this music shop called A1 Music in Manchester. We used to go down into the basement and mess around. We'd say, oh wow, that's a mini Moog. That's the Moog that.
So the equipment was actually there.
Yeah.
Right.
So you could like play around with, and obviously imagine like a kid, like these people were watching us like hawks, because like we would, in case we would disappear. Yeah. But like it was just enough for us to go down there on a Saturday, and like try and mimic what Herbie Hancock was doing on the Mini Moog or like Chick Corea or one of these guys. Yeah, that shop was the first place I saw a drum machine. I remember seeing like this metal box thing. It had no keys on it, and I was like, plugged it in, because you were allowed to plug these things in, and just like started playing around with it, and like I used to try and play the bass to it. And so we started to, we just started to experiment with these type of things, trying to mimic what we heard on the records.
I mean, it's really interesting how from such an early age you were that sort of like focused in on music.
Yeah.
You could see how that would lead you into music production. Like, because now you're like, well, okay, I can play it, I can play this and I can do all of that, but how do I make it into like a record that I can, use, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
before we get into that, I
yeah.
just wanted to go back a little bit and speak a little bit about Manchester actually at that
Yeah.
time, because Manchester's got like a reputation, a huge reputation for like music and people who have come out of there from music.
Right.
But it also has a reputation, certainly in the mid-90s, you know, for a lot of, like social challenges, you know what I mean? And I remember you saying earlier that you ended up getting yourself into some
Yeah. So,
challenges that got you into a home. Tell me a bit
yeah.
about that.
Well, basically, we like didn't really attend school as much as we should have done, and
Right,
like that
got you.
was the reason they were like, okay. And like I was my parents were separated. I was living with my mom more than my dad, and she, since we were really young, pre-teens, we had free will to do and go
Right, got
where we
you.
wanted
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Music wise, she definitely steered us in the right
But she
direction.
couldn't control
But
you.
it's like, and I feel it for anyone who from a different country, especially like the West Indies, and then you come to this country and you have to like basically control your kids who are from here.
Yeah.
Manchester back in the like late 70s, early 80s was crazy for all sorts of different things were going on, and it must have been a crazy challenge for anyone, like when I look back. And yeah, I think the only thing that was kind of giving us a railing, steering us clear of a lot of dangerous things that could have happened to young kids was music.
It's
Basically.
interesting. Not a lot's changed then, has it?
No,
Not a lot's changed.
no, seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
because that sort of direction of like children or young people, even adults to be fair,
Yeah.
like, finding a creative sort of endeavor that then takes them away from what they think is their future,
Yeah,
I mean, there's so much we could say about that would
yeah.
take up half of this podcast.
I mean, I would say one thing: it should definitely be more encouraged than it is. I mean, the arts, full stop, should be more
I
encouraged
agree.
with young people than it is in. I mean, like they should definitely give more, like grants or more favors in that direction. Anyway,
But yeah, so going back to you being in the shop, your brother, the Korg, the
yeah.
drum machine, like take
Yeah.
me
So
a bit
yeah,
further with
so
that.
basically, yeah, I mean, like obviously, it would be impossible for us to afford like this stuff. So like, and because by then we'd been going into this shop for maybe like a year and a bit, and like it was obvious that we weren't going to take anything from there, So like when they seen us, I think there's this couple called Tony and Anne, if I remember rightly. And like, so they would just say, yeah, they're just going to go down in the basement and like, we would just turn on an amplifier, plug in the bass, like, plug in a keyboard, and we would just
That's
like
nice. That's
jam,
nice.
they
Yeah,
would
yeah.
they would actually let us do that. And
That's lovely.
yeah, for me, it was like the highlight of
That is lovely. That they eventually built that relationship with
yeah.
it. That's like people coming to my house and being on the decks.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Right?
And you just, like,
Yeah.
after a while, it's like, yeah, and, they kind of know what they're doing a little bit. So, and, we didn't have any kind of guidelines or tutorials. And I think we really wanted to do it. We had, the passion was there from a long, long time before. But like, we really wanted that thing in our life. So we kind of moved forward with it. And then by the time I think I could afford something from there, I started working at a McDonald's actually. Like when I got of age, and like I seen there was 808 drum machine in the second hand part of this store, and I remember like having enough to put down like £30 on this machine, and like they actually took the £30, kept it for me, and I just remember like working day and night,
To
like
get it.
like all I had in my head was beats. Meanwhile, I'm working, thinking of like the time when I'm going to own this machine, like and by that time I had built like a kind of little studio at home with a little Tascam.
And how old are you around this age?
Around this time, I was probably 15,
Right,
14,
okay. So you had
15.
a studio in the what's that? That'd been the 80s.
80s, yeah. Early
Early
80s.
80s, yeah.
I remember wanting basically to just record stuff, and it wasn't really anything that was special, but it was the trend at the time started to be like electro funk. I remember, and the ghetto blaster craze,
Of course, yeah.
and all I wanted to do was to make tapes to basically play in like the ghetto blaster, and like bring it to school, and then play, and at the same time we would like listen to like the radio, Piccadilly Radio, and like they would be playing like electro funk, jazz funk, and all this stuff, and like so like we had all this input from like what was going on in the States, but this radio station, there was I can't remember the DJ's name. It was Mike Shaft, and then after that, Stu Allen played on there. I'm compressing all the time,
of course,
actually.
yeah.
And like basically, they had this. They'd play funk and soul, but then they would have like this break where they would play like jazz or electro funk. And that was my time. I'd be listening to all this stuff and like actually recording bits and pieces from that, and trying to mimic that on like an Amstrad like stack system.
Yeah.
So I would plug my little drum machine in and try and mimic the
What
stuff
was going on, yeah.
that
And
was
so you were able to, with the drum machine, you were able to do what would be the earliest of like sampling through it, or
it wasn't actually samplers. That was another level.
So that hadn't been invented yet.
No. I think it was, but it was mad expensive. It was
Right.
something
Okay. Okay.
So it was just like kind of like before I got the 808, the drum machine I had was like one of these kind of little Boss things. So that it was bass, snare.
Right. So so you couldn't input any other sounds to it. You just whatever you got, that's what you got. Yeah.
And the programming it was like really basic kind of thing. It didn't have any kind of readout on the front or anything. You could just had to hear what was being played.
Yeah.
And then like, by then we'd heard Herbie Hancock do Rocket. And like, I remember we went to see him at the Apollo with Grandmaster DST.
Right.
It was the first time I'd heard scratching, but it's the first time I'd seen someone scratching.
Yeah.
So after that, it was just like, trying to scratch on this thing with the drum machine, and then.
So is that your first example of showmanship then?
So, the first time I'd seen kind of like a live electronic thing.
Yeah.
Would have been like Herbie Hancock doing Rocket at the Apollo in Manchester.
So for example, then with the idea that now you've kind of got your drum machine, you're 15 years old.
Yeah.
I'd imagine you're kind of trying to build like a crew of some sort at that time in terms of like a two-man band almost. Yeah.
But we added a few different people. We got like this guy to do some rapping, and this other guy who was like kind of like a DJ kind of things. We had a crew called the Scratch Beat Masters.
Okay.
Actually, because there was, at that time there's all these different crews. Some people with graffiti, break dancing, and
body popping, and so on. Yeah.
So we had like our kind of little mixed crew.
We didn't really have a crew that was producing, boy. I know that. We didn't have a crew that was producing. We were late at my ends, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like it was always just the breakers, the body poppers, and the DJs, but nobody who was there, not until way down the line, that I knew anybody who was producing. This is why, for me, knowing that you were 15, already having that drive, is now I'm starting to join the dots of how comes some of your earliest seminal music was such a long time ago, way before I knew anything about production, and I thought he was a big man. Even then, do you know what I'm saying?
We could confuse a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
I know there's still even, like, if I go to Detroit, like now I go to Detroit a bit, and some of the guys from there thought I was from there.
Right,
No, man, I'm
from England. This is what I mean.
From Manchester.
So you're growing up with this musical sort of like yearning, like you're driving towards this passion, but life is still going on, you know, like you're still only a teenager.
Yeah,
So how was that looking for you in between the times where obviously you're working at McDonald's, you know, obviously your mum, you know, and your parents are still with you.
Mm.
How is that looking for you as a young man growing up in Manchester?
Well, like I basically kind of went down the rabbit hole. I think my brother he got more interested in like the football and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just went down the rabbit hole with it, and
With the music.
with the music.
That's
Didn't really,
fascinating. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I kind of didn't really get out much in a way.
Right. Okay. You became a producer.
Yeah, I focused on this
Right.
thing, and I
Okay.
was just always like thinking of what I could do next,
Mm.
where I could go with it. So
Mhm.
anything electronic, like my ears would just prick up, and I'd listen and want to know how it was done. I remember the first time I got like a Walkman, and I actually experienced like closed stereo kind of thing, thinking to myself like how like this music was. So you know, obviously I'd listened to everything. Things that really blew my mind was Quincy Jones productions,
Mm.
like this stuff, like how we use stereo, the stereo field was absolutely amazing. So like I kind of kept all this stuff to heart. By the time I got like into my own little world, I would try and separate things out the same, like, you know, like recording on my little Tascam, try and widen the stereo and all this stuff. By the time I was 20, got into a proper 16 track studio,
Mm.
and yeah, the rest was history. I actually knew how to stereo image from listening to,
Other people's music
yeah,
and what have you.
I was working with like this, actually a young engineer in a really kind of, not a high-end studio, but it was a studio of a professional artist, Manchester artist, who basically he hired the studio out when he wasn't using it. I think he was like a comedian or something like that, but he had this studio in the back of like this petrol station, at the back near this petrol station in Longsight in Manchester. Yeah, I remember having like an opportunity to go and use this place, and like just recording, like, and learning how to record, and like techniques of recording on a 16 track tape. And like basically there was outboard effects like delays and reverbs and things like this, and learning how to patch things in. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
And
by then,
you were what age now?
at this time I was, I think, 19, 18, 19.
So you'd gone already 3-4 years down the rabbit
Yeah.
hole, and now you're going into your 20s,
Yeah.
you know, and still pursuing it. You were very lucky, you know that?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
very, very lucky
yeah.
as a young black boy
for sure.
in Manchester to have found something that removed you from...
Yeah, because there was all sorts going on around me.
Of course, yeah, of
Believe
course.
me.
Yeah, this is what I mean,
I mean, I could say, I mean, like, you know, even when I was working at McDonald's, there was people working with me who were like, you know, offering things that, you know, people would use in the army and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, my world was just full of this, you know, like. So I never.
You're very fortunate. Very
really,
fortunate.
really lucky that I basically found that as a passion. But like it was fed from something else. I mean, you know, I think like in a way, like my mom was.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
Was kind of.
She was the catalyst.
Yeah, she was not a person who was forceful. So, you know, with certain things. So, like, it was up to me, I felt. But it was, you know, she was very tricky, I think, because she made it like...
It was fun.
Yeah, it wasn't something that I thought, okay, I have to do this,
you
know, at the start. So it just became...
But then I think also with that, there's testament to that, to being that she can lay, you know, the old testament of leading a horse to water, you know what I mean? But you wanted to drink.
But yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And is your mum still with us?
No.
God rest her soul, you know, like she'd be very, very... very, I mean, wherever she is right now, she'd be very, very happy to know that sort of investment she paid in you at that very young age is that you're here as a grown man.
Well, she got to before
Witness
she passed
it,
away. Yeah, she definitely she would like run around the neighborhood with bits of like paper, magazines and things like telling all her friends and stuff.
Yeah, that's lovely.
So
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
which it was, I kind of felt that,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
felt that. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of mums from people who have sat in this well, not in this very chair, but in the podcast, who the things that they did for their children at the early stages that then supported them in their careers.
Yeah.
I
mean, I've got to take my caps off to them because
and a lot of them are single mums.
Yeah. And you saw like they're juggling, they're doing this,
yeah,
and at the same time,
yeah,
guiding you through this thing that they don't even know.
Yeah, of course. Being here, new to this country as well.
There's, we can't give them praise enough.
No,
seriously,
you can't. No,
seriously,
absolutely,
man.
no. And to the dads as well. I don't want to leave them out.
I mean, I get it. The dads were going through it too
as
on
well.
Another level.
On a different level. Yeah. So, and they were young people. They were young men themselves.
Exactly.
So
I can't even imagine what it
would be like. Was for them as well. Yeah.
Because
exactly.
I mean, I've lived in like another country.
Right.
Right. But like on my own. I can't imagine
what it is with having a wife and a child, children.
I mean,
trying to navigate it.
These things came to my head, but I was like, wow, I wouldn't know even how to. I mean, on my own, I could do my thing, but like having to make sure that everyone else is all right, and you're not actually 100% getting that support from that place. That would be, it would be such a...
I don't know how they did it, but I take my hat off to them all for getting through that and getting us to this stage, you know what I mean, so that we can pass that on to others, whether they be our own children or other younger people. I want to go back to where you were speaking about the group you formed.
Yeah, it was kind of like a DJ unit in a way, and like every Saturday, I think it was every Saturday, like we would go down to this shop called Spinning Records, and they sold imports. So, and we would just buy the latest, like the tracks that were out, like it could be like Mantronics, or like the African Bambaataa or Wizkid, or there was like at that time. Like electro funk was like the thing kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we would just get all these tracks on import as they came in, and like we would just have this thing of like cutting and scratching with them, and like we didn't even have Technics decks at the time. We had this DJ console that they used to have with belt drive decks, and we had like a Citronics mixer, and we would plug everything in and kind of like try and do routines where we'd like sometimes on the B-sides there was an instrumental, so we would like basically try and cut and scratch these tracks in together, and then we got this MC called MC Tunes, who was like a local kid on the estate, and he would like kind of be MCing over the top of it, and I think there was this other crew who went from a different area. We also had like this DJ type crew called Spin Masters, and we would kind of every now and again we'd challenge each other kind of thing. I think that at one point they came out with this thing where they had maybe more turntables than we had or something like that, and like we had to find a way to fight back at them kind of thing, and that's where the drum machine thing came in, because it was like we could bring in like this bass line thing from the drum machine and
over the top of the music or something, or whatever,
and like it just like ruined them. They were over
because they can't compete with that.
Like, how the hell? Because like one of the things is having like a one-away tune that nobody else had. I mean, we didn't have dub plates or anything, but like with this thing, it was like 100 dub plates.
Yeah.
We would,
Sorry to interrupt you, but what were you called at that time?
DJ Ski.
Okay, carry on.
Everyone had the name, you know what I mean?
Everybody had a name, bro.
Yeah, everyone had the names. There was MC Tunes, DJ Ski, Davey C. I can't remember the rest of them, but anyway. So like basically, we I had this challenge with them at Salvation Army one afternoon, and like we just like out of nowhere, kind of, it was our secret weapon. We just dropped like the drum machine on them, and I remember we was cutting. I think it was like Sparky D talking about Marley Marl or someone like that. So it was a track that people knew, but like they didn't. We was basically spinning in the a cappella over the drum machine, which just sounded like a whole new tune, you know. So it just
So that, in my opinion, without even being there, that would have then elevated you lot status quite quickly.
We basically became like one of the main sound systems in the area, and then we would do like the youth clubs and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
the reason I say that is because at that time you needed a certain, I was going to say je ne sais quoi then, but I won't. You needed something that was different, whether it be a DJ skill or a special mix that somebody did or whatever.
A routine
something that somebody else didn't have. You know what I mean? These were the dub plates.
That's right.
Of that time.
We used to do like routines and all scratch routines where someone would like kind of put a break in, and then the other one would come in with the other break and like try it, rehearse it. So like we'd be kind of going around the decks, kind of trying to
so literally go around.
Right, like, so scratching, and that one would come in and like catch the break and like scratching, and then you go around to this one. So and then like you'd have to push the fader through, and so we was trying all these different things, and then like I remember after that seeing like they started like that DMC thing, but like we weren't good enough for that kind of vibe. But
because it took a particular part of the art to a different level. That's what was going on with the DMC thing. It
became more of a kind of like this kind of on speed and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a different thing altogether. It was like, what can I do in 2 minutes to blow you away or blow the next guy away? And so on. Okay, so your crew, you know what I mean, you're building a reputation, like your passion is growing, obviously. You're having a whale of a time in life. So now I can imagine that clearly at some point you start to look and consider, how am I going to actually make my own music?
Right.
And so where does the beginning of the Guy Called Gerald that we know stem from?
So I start basically sending in like mixes that I've done, like live mixes to like this radio station, because they have a time for playing demos, and it's like people it was kind of at the edge of that whole kind of electro thing. The acid house thing had kind of crept in, and by then I had a few of these different machines, like the little bass machine, and like I got hold of like an SH-101, because I'd realised that with like the electro funk stuff, kind of it was a little bit more treated, and at that time they were using kind of like a few live instruments, like say like they might have like a bass playing over the drum machine or something like that. I remember there was a track called The Smurf, Tyrone Brunson.
Yeah, of course I remember that. Yeah.
It's just like that. So that it was kind of like that vibe. But then like this house stuff kind of started to come in, which was just pure electronic. For me, that was like, oh, wow, that's like, sounds kind of like me a little bit more, like that I could totally get with this thing. And so I kind of had a few goes at doing some of these things and sending them into the radio station, this Piccadilly radio station, as demos. Because I had heard a few demos on there, but some of the people that were sending in demos were obviously had like more expensive equipment.
Yeah.
Whereas like mine was like this really cheap kind of stuff. But my stuff sounded nearer to like this American thing.
In terms of the aesthetics of it rather than the actual sound quality.
Yeah. So I was just like, wow, okay. So I'm gonna have a little play around with with some of this stuff kind of thing. I didn't have a sampler, so I would just say stuff in the microphone, basically,
over
in the
the
little
top of
mic.
what you've made.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like by this time, like my friends, like we would do stuff on a Sunday. I would jam with like the hip hop stuff and the electro stuff, but like in the week, I would do my own experimental. I had a guy. My name was at that time Jackmaster G.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
So like
you've
it,
gone from a
from
thing to
DJ Ski
ski.
to
Yeah.
Jackmaster G in the weekday in the
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. And it
And
the alias.
so yeah, and so like I was like listening to some of this stuff and trying to do like this vibe. I was getting stuff from Chicago and Detroit at the time, some of the really early stuff. I remember hearing the track, I think it was by Kevin Saunderson, called "The Sound," and I can't remember. There was some other bits and pieces I was hearing from Chicago, like using the 303. So, and everyone was using kind of like the drum machine sounds, like either a 909 or 808. And like I was thinking, wow, that's it's like really fresh kind of thing. I kind of want to do more like this vibe. I think I've still got the demos somewhere and all I found the other day, which was pretty interesting. Anyway, so I sent this stuff into the station, and like this guy was like, man, like you need to send me more
Yeah.
of this stuff. So I just went, at that point, just went crazy, man. I started just recording like this stuff constantly and like loads of different vibes of this and and I think at one point someone says to me, like, you should like try and put something out, like, this stuff sounds good enough to put out. And I was still a little bit skeptical because it was like, well, it doesn't sound like this stuff or that stuff in a way. So it was rightly so. It was coming from, like Detroit was Detroit, like Chicago was Chicago, and like I was basically getting a mulch of all this stuff. I didn't know the kind of geography of these places or where it was from. You know what I mean? Plus adding in my
Your own
own
thing from your
element.
own
Yeah.
subconscious. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because you kind of you don't actually realize, but like you're adding in because you're like, okay, my thing doesn't sound quite like what it's supposed to, kind of vibe, but you don't realize that's you.
That's your
You know what I
unique,
mean?
your
Like,
uniqueness. Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Whereas I was coming in with like this sound, I was trying to in some ways create this sound, but like I was obviously adding in few decades of reggae and all this other
Absolutely.
stuff
Yeah.
that was
That's right. In your
like part of
subconscious.
yeah.
That's right.
It kind of
You couldn't help
goes in
but put
there.
it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
right.
it becomes into this thing and so the demos that I sent to the radio somehow managed to get to this guys in Liverpool. I mean, it's like local northwest type thing. I didn't have a phone or anything, and I think they took ages trying. I think I went to the record shop, and it was like, "Oh, there's this guy looking for you."
Right.
I gave him my address, and like they came to see me, and they were like, "Oh man, like we want to put something out as a record," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, that would it would be interesting." And they were saying, "Okay, the way we want to do it is like you've been around for ages, and this is like and I was like, "Man, yeah, that sounds like it could be interesting." So I did, I think, like three tracks and a vocal track because there was this girl that was coming around to the studio because by then I'd have people in and out of the studio all the time.
Yeah.
And this girl came around to sing this track, kind of SOS band style kind of thing. And so like we all went down to this studio and did like I recorded her track and she looked like hung around, and then we recorded the other like the dance tracks. And then like we got to a stage where it was like there's something like missing. And he was like, I know, we'll put like her singing on the track, but it was just like an ad lib. So we just basically got her to ad lib over the track. And then the next thing, you know, we gave it to the label to put out, and they were like, oh yeah, this it sounds authentic because it's not like anything, and they put it out. Round about that time, I started working with this other little crew of people in Manchester that had this record shop called Eastern Bloc, and
Yeah, famous.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they wanted to do some music, kind of cut into music too, because like by this time, like house music had kind of started to kick off, techno, house kind of music, and they were interested in doing something, and I was like, okay, like sounds like something we could do. I didn't tell them about the other thing that
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, maybe it doesn't come about. Maybe, you know, they'll get to this some kind of stage, and then
Sorry, you didn't tell them about what?
I didn't tell them about the other project.
Oh, the guys from Liverpool.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So let me get this straight. Eastern Bloc were now courting you as well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah.
So I mean, because I was like, well, if I say one thing, it might
blow the whole thing out. We don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
This is the thing about flipping being so young and naive, and there's just so much of it that has gone on over the years where, sorry to interrupt you, where it's like, you're doing this thing, you don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it. I better just not say nothing. But then by not saying nothing, it causes this thing. And it's just like, you just wish that people had representation, like from the very beginning.
I mean, that's what if I would have looked for that first of all, then but like I was like,
know anything about representation.
I was just I mean, I wanted to put this music out more than anything. And I started to do this stuff with these guys. It was more or less there was two guys. There was one who was from the record shop, and there was another guy who basically could get free studio time at this place in the centre of Manchester. It was like actually one of the first audio schools, like for doing audio. It was called Spirit Studios. It was in Manchester. Anyway, so he could get free time at night. So like we would go in there. I would show him how to set up like my equipment and like how I was working with it and everything. And so like we did like quite a few tunes actually, and it was like, okay, we could like maybe get some gigs doing this and jamming. So we decided to have a group name called, I think it was called the Thermo Kings at first, and then we got quite a few gigs. They actually said that they had spoken to some record companies and like they'd played like some of the music that was done, and they was interested in doing some stuff, and I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. So like they played some of this stuff to these guys, and it was getting a bit of interest, but like then nothing kind of really happened with it. And I disappeared back into doing my own little thing because, like, by now I'd got the test pressings of the other thing. So I was like, "All right, it's on. Look, I've got my own record," kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you remember the name of the record?
Yeah, it was Voodoo Ray.
Oh, so that was Voodoo Ray, right? Oh my God! So the Liverpool one was Voodoo Ray.
Yeah. It was it was a 4-track EP basically.
Right.
So like I basically I was going around the clubs playing it to different clubs, like to see like what the sound.
So that was your first record.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Man popped right out the gate, boy.
And then
right out.
Yeah. And then they by now it was kind of making its rounds.
Yeah.
But these guys, it was still kind of a little bit more undergroundish type thing. The guys from Eastern Bloc, they said they had this like these people that were interested, so they started their own little label, and they called it Creed Records from the record shop, and they put like this, like it was like a mishmash of some of the things that we'd recorded, and they made an album, basically.
Right. Okay, yeah. Of yours, content.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And they changed the name from Thermo Kings to 808 State.
Yeah, right, okay.
And then,
wow, that's an incredible story.
Yeah, and then they basically, put this kind of like album kind of out like an underground-ish type thing, and they got some interest from they said from some radios, and then they says, because by now I was just like floating around doing this Voodoo Ray thing.
Yeah.
But like these guys were doing this like thing on this other level.
Hold on, let me get straight. 808 State
Yeah.
was all your music,
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah.
That's a madness.
Yeah, yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, man. Like
I never knew that, bruv.
It was all
I don't think most people know that.
Yeah. I mean, because there was no internet, and like basically they did try to steer it into a way that I was basically going to be the backroom guy doing the music,
That's
giving them the music.
Wild, man. That is
And, you know,
wild. Sorry, carry on.
And they actually didn't realize that I was the same Guy Called Gerald.
Yeah.
At that time, and like so they basically put this album out. By the time they'd realised that it was me, the first 808 State record was already out.
Yes.
And like they then put a sticker on it that said like featuring a Guy Called Gerald.
Right.
But like I should have had management, because there was these things
popping off.
kind of popping off.
Yeah.
And I kind of
there weren't no sticker on my copy.
Yeah.
Do
Right.
you know what I mean? There weren't no sticker on my copy, mate.
And then they kind of try to, because I was absolutely broke. Wasn't anything coming back from this from anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I mean, everyone's story was like, you've got to wait. And I was like, cool. I was living in a squat at the time because I'd moved out from my parents to build like my own little studio kind of thing. And so like I kind of was trying to get money from these guys for something, at least, you know what I mean? It's like, I know you paid for all this stuff, but like there should be something coming in. Anyway, so like these guys, to try and convince me to do more music with them, they said they had a Peel session, like a John Peel session, which, you would get paid like, at least something for. And I was like, cool, that would help me out. So I went back into the studio with him, and I did 4 tracks with these 808 State guys, of which one of them was this track Pacific State.
Big tune. Massive
and
tune.
And it actually, it wasn't a Peel session, it was just them tricking me to go back into the studio.
Yeah.
So I went back in, recorded like these tracks. The breakdown of it was like, basically I was recording and like sampling and doing all this stuff. And the engineer guy, Graham, he played the saxophone on the track. By this time I was just really pissed off with him, and I was just like, look, I'm not going to do anything else with you, because this, obviously was a trick.
Yeah.
That and like, I don't want you to do anything with these recordings. Next thing I know, this track is in the charts.
Yeah.
What the hell? Like, and so like I kind of go into this whole thing with them. And at the same time, well, actually just a little bit before, like Voodoo Ray goes into the charts too.
Of course, yeah.
So there's this like whole kind of muddle up. I've got no management. Like I'm basically like not working anywhere, and like with 2 tracks in the chart.
This is like outrageous. Yeah. Carry on.
So basically, imagine I've got like these 2 tracks
in the national charts.
Yeah, and I'm living in a squat. And I'm trying to like say to these guys, like, look,
give me something,
help me out, kind of thing. In the end, I was like, the whole thing of management kind of kicks in, and like I remember first of all going to some guy at the Hacienda and saying like, telling him, and he was like, now, look, we can try and find some management company that could help you out. I remember speaking to Tony Wilson, R.I.P., and he was like, there's not really no one could do anything. So label that put the Voodoo Ray thing out, they he was using a distribution company down here. At the time, I think they were called 10 Times Better. Like I remember like at one point coming down to see them, and like one of these guys, I was explaining it to him, and he went, yo, I know someone down here who maybe could help you out. So like I set up a meeting, went to see him, and then like met up with like this lawyer guy, like really kind of heavy music guy, who basically kind of I told him the story about this bloody double-headed
Yeah.
thing, and he steamed in on it, and like managed to kind of set me up with a management team, and like basically started to help me out. But
And did you see some remuneration from it?
yeah. I mean, I
Right,
had
okay.
to basically. Part of it was to do like a proper record deal. So I did like a deal with Sony, which was kind of like I didn't really want to be signed to a record label by then, because I didn't really trust anybody. I was
Of
like,
course, yeah.
so like I says, okay, if I can have my own kind of imprint. So like I set up a little imprint through Sony called Subscape, and basically was doing things through this at the same time as like fighting two things in court, like two separate things that were going on. Like the 808 State thing basically was just to get my name in the credits, because they didn't even want to put me in the credits for the thing. And for the Voodoo Ray thing, like I needed to basically get like proper like ownership and like credit for like what I'd done. And like basically these people were just running away with the ball if I didn't get any management and sort this stuff out. By the time I'd sorted the 808 State thing out, this guy disappeared into the woodwork. Like he was in, I think it was at something like number 12 in the charts. And distribution company was called Red Rhino. And like basically the last I heard of this guy, he says, oh, the distribution company have gone bust. And then
Everything went quiet.
he just disappeared into the woodwork. And the 808 State guys, they had kind of were signing a deal with ZTT, and they didn't want me to upset anything like that. And I says like, all I want you credit me for what I've done. And so like that kind of works out. But in the end, everything kind of worked out. Managed to get like kind of what I wanted. And like I had this deal where I could get like thing. I mean, like, and my main thing was basically just to find a space so I could build a studio and start continue working.
Listening to that story and the exploitation of that, and it brings me to the notion of no, we're gonna get into jungle in a bit, and how, you know, a lot of people were sampling and whatever. And I know a couple of people who they had to close shop because of samples that are used in songs and whatever, and they had to shut down. Their businesses got shut down because of the samples that they used and whatever. I think about that story you just now told me, and I think that how this is not a sample. You made the records.
Yeah.
Made the records, and they just was blatantly exploiting.
No. It was. It was. It was
not nice.
The thing.
Man.
Yeah. The thing. It was like full. And at the time, I mean, like because I was doing interviews and like in the media, because there was no social media or anything like that at that time. So like, and my management also like actually advised me like not to say too much about it. So I said little bits and pieces, and like, you know, kind of like went underneath the radar, and like even still to this day, there's a lot of people that didn't realize that I was 808 State.
Yeah, well, there you go, and I'm one of them.
I remember kind of side story in a way, but funny. Like I went to Detroit, my very first gig in Detroit. They'd obviously heard about this, and like I got to this place, it's called St. Andrew's Hall, and like there was like people like Carl Craig and all these guys. These were just starting off. Octave One, these guys, Kenny Larkins. They all had T-shirts. Get Gerald paid.
Wicked.
Can you imagine going all the way across the ocean?
Yeah.
So and I just.
I'd imagine that 808 State were embarrassed, so embarrassed. You know what I mean? That now everyone knows.
But
maybe they had the money and they didn't care. The embarrassment
because basically their thing was to. Well, it wasn't actually them. It was like there was one guy in there who actually left in the end. Their thing was to get like a record deal. You know, like as soon as they didn't care. I mean, like if you listen to the stuff that they did on ZTT, sounds nothing like what I did. It was like totally. So like they basically they were just inching to getting this deal, and then once they got this deal, then they kind of went off into their own direction.
They wanted to.
Which I mean, like the whole. I mean, this kind of goes into like round about the time where the rave thing
was kicking.
kind
Well,
of
obviously, yeah,
started.
because
Yeah.
Pacific State, you know, was a big tune in the rave
Yeah.
scene. You know, like I was raving to
Yeah.
Voodoo Ray as a raver.
Yeah.
I hadn't even started DJing jungle yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so this is where we were speaking earlier, and I
Yeah.
was saying to you like, you must have been so young.
Yeah.
Because I was raving then, and you had already had a record out.
Yeah,
But I, you know, I thought that Guy Called Gerald was like some big man.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
It
know?
was so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but you were not a child, but you were
It
like,
was just like I was the age of the people that were raving.
yeah,
You know,
were,
and
yeah,
like
yeah,
and
yeah.
it was really weird because I never actually got that chance to rave as much as because I would hear all these stories of this. Man, I heard your tune here, man. I was like, you must have been at this party. You must have been. I was like, man, I was on the road, like,
Yeah,
dude, they had me
Wild story,
down, man,
wild,
like
yeah.
working, like doing these things, and I'd hear about like these parties on the M1 or like, you know, even people going to Ibiza and all this, and I was like, man, like I was, they had me like working in the States.
Yeah,
Like I was like literally like, you know, playing at a place where you wasn't allowed in with trainers and shit like that.
I have heard stories like that where people end up, they start off in one direction, they start off in one direction, and then they end up playing somewhere where it's like, yo, this has got nothing to do with my culture whatsoever. Yeah,
it was like it was like this kind of Sony kind of in a thing, like Sony Epic corporate kind of. So like they had this gig scheduled. So I would did like first like America, and then Japan, and then like, you know, Europe. So it was like everywhere but the places.
Yeah, but the places where it would needed to be. Yeah. I imagine that for them as well, though, it was well, two things. I imagine one, that for them it was for themselves, it was something brand new for them. It's like, where do we place this?
Yeah.
You know, there was that, but then also I imagine for you as well, as a young man from Manchester. I'm going to make, you know, you've done all of this stuff, you know, just from the trajectory of what you've told me, you know, you've done all of this stuff, church, find a little drum machine, down in the basement, come up making a little crew. I'm going to do my first record, do some demos, get my first record, bang, I'm already like, you know, like in the charts. Then traveling to New York, Detroit, Japan, here, there, and everything. It must have been mind-blowing for you as well, though. No, even with all of the challenges you faced of exploitation, to be going on a plane as in that early stage, it must have been mental.
It was. I mean, it was. I mean, it was like the whole thing was kind of moving kind of at a pace. But like still, it was really strange because like at the back of my head, I was still like, man, like, you know, how can I write? And it was before laptops and all this, you know what I mean? So like my whole thing was like, shit, I'd have to have like all my stuff with me. And so like sometimes stuff would travel like cargo or, you know what I mean? So, and then it was like, you know, getting the logistics, getting things from A to B, and then being able to set things up, getting like the right electricity current and all this back then. It was,
wow, that's really amazing.
It was
that's really amazing, man.
It was crazy. It was crazy trying to get, you know, some places it kind of kicks off, other places they kind
didn't
of
quite get it.
Yeah, they didn't get it.
Yeah.
Like, and then I would go to somewhere like, say, like Cannes or something like that, it's this music festival thing, and like, you know, I would be there like trying to set all my shit up, and then some people would just turn up with like they were just doing like
just quick.
So my thing kind of was a bit too much for that time. I mean, like now, you know,
it's just standard. Yeah. I can't remember where it was actually, but it was I think it was XOYO. It might have been there. And I remember you turning up with an iPad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you're like, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? And you're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, but actually you had been cultivating a version of a live performance for decades.
Still times now where I'll turn up with some of the stuff, but it's really long for people, man. Like, you know, even if I've said like I'm coming to do a live thing, and like, you know, like I've spoken to like the audio guy and everything's, and like, even, you know, they see the stuff and they're like, nah, man, that's too
It's too
much.
much.
That's
Yeah,
too
yeah.
much.
They don't
So
get it. Yeah,
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 it's still
yeah.
some places they kind of they want that. I'll have two laptops, some things from Roland, some of these little boutique things that I really like the way they did this. When I kind of first started to do breakbeats with samples,
Yeah.
I was traveling with 3 or 4 like S1000s and 950s and an MPC 60, and I
That's a
basically
lot of gear, man.
yeah, and I basically going through a line mixer, and
Mm.
I put all that stuff, the 808s and the 909s, all the synths were in these samplers, and it was just like a stack of stuff, so I could travel.
Okay, like a Pelly case
Yeah,
vibe.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
basically.
yeah.
So it was a rack, and I could travel. And
Mm.
I had a gig at was it the Eclipse?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Coventry.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I'd kind of set up this kind of like techie kind of gig to do, and it must have been going about 120 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I got in there, and I don't know who was playing. It might have been Groove and
Right.
I could hear that they were doing. It was like at the time where like it was like the rave was kind of like with the 4/4, but like still got that break
Yeah,
underneath kind of
underneath
thing.
it.
And I was like, oh, that's a bit faster than what I'm doing, man. So, you know, but like, look at this, because I've got that thing, I could speed it up a little bit. And then, so meanwhile they were playing, I was there in my headphones and a line mixer, just like kind of jigging everything and putting. So that's how I did 28 Gun Bad Boy.
Yeah, because I remember you said something about that. I want you to explain it in more detail here. I remember you said you were somewhere and you created a song on the fly.
Yeah.
And then you went, oh, that worked. Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, so yeah, basically that's what happened. I was like, literally, I was there, and I was hearing what was going on, and you know, and everything was rolling. People are like, you know, beelines going off, and I'm like, oh man, like this sounds like proper. Like there's a break beats kicking off in there, and I'm like, man, like that's you know, and like why? And then I was listening to what I had to, and it was a lower tempo, and I was like, nah, I need to kind of hook this up a bit. So I kind of nudged it up, and then like kind of put the B line up a little bit on there, and then like I remember I was using like these snares that really cut through. I can't remember what was that from. It might have been from some early hip hop jams. And like I used to basically just like shear the snares into key groups and stuff like that. And basically I started playing the snares over the top, and put like a little bit of the kind of reverb on the break beat. It was really simple, really simple. And because like the MPC, it's like basically you can literally just write stuff there, and like, so I was basically just wrote the B line in from the tone actually of the S950 sampler. I just used the tone on the S950
Yeah,
sampler
yeah,
as the
yeah.
bass, and just basically just played that in, and just speeded it up a little bit. And yeah, I think I was listening to a melody from some early rave tune, but I just played that. I played a
Yeah.
little bit that in, and just like kind of rejigged it a little bit. And then like, yeah, by the time it come to me having to play, I just like
That was what went, and it went
bust
off.
out. Yeah,
So let me ask you this then. If you could imagine that, just from my experience then, right?
yeah.
A Guy Called Gerald, Voodoo Ray. And then that's it. So I'm this Voodoo Ray. That's how I know a Guy Called Gerald. And then I don't hear about a Guy Called Gerald. The next time I hear about it is 28 Gun Bad Boy.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So, but prior to that, you're performing live.
Yeah.
During at events as well, at raves as well.
Yeah.
Well, how did the transition from performing live to Juice Spot's Records? Because that's how I got the thing, and mine was like a white label with a stamp, Juice Box Records on it. So so walk me through how it got from that to that.
After being on Sony, I was like really pissed off with like their treatment, because I'd done two albums for them. The second album I did, they didn't actually realize that I'd finished the album. I'd finished it up in Manchester, because like basically I bought a studio with like the money that they gave me. I don't know what they thought I was going to be doing, so they actually were like, "What? You've got your own studio?" I was like, "Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, right?" So and I finished the album. Here's the album. They were like, "Oh, you need to come down and do it at the Hit Factory." So like literally spending money on nothing. I had a DAT tape, like a reference of like the entire album, which I gave to their engineer, and like all the multi-track tapes, because everything was recorded onto 2-inch. And then I came down to London and then redid everything almost like basically word for word, like did the entire album.
So they wanted to own the recording rights.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because of the fact that they knew, well, okay, if he's going to own the recording rights, and he is going to own the publishing,
right? Yeah, exactly. But like at the time, I was just like, okay, I'm not sure why I've got to go down all the way down to London to do this thing.
You remember that's where management and a lawyer should have just been in place. Yeah.
So like I did that thing. I came down, re-recorded everything. I remember it was like when Sony was in Soho Square there. I remember going to the after finishing, going over to their offices. And I was sat there like kind of, okay, yeah, I've finished it, just waiting here just to get like, maybe they've got someone who's going to come by and give me back my multi-track tapes. So I asked them like, for my multi-track tapes, and I was just waiting there. No one said, no, you can't get them, or we'll talk to your management or anything. They just left me sat there waiting. And then like the reception guy says, oh, there's a call for you. Like this is after about maybe half an hour. Pick up the call, it's my manager saying, what the fuck, man? Like they're saying that you're at the office holding them ransom for and I'm like, how do you mean? Like no one's talked to me or anything. He says, oh no, they said like, like you're kicking off. And I'm like, I'm not kicking off, I'm just waiting here for my tapes. I went, oh no, you're gonna have to go, man, because it's like, I was like, so like the management, I realised he's in cahoots with
them,
these guys, and that's the last I heard of Sony. I didn't hear that. Once I'd done that, didn't hear of him, and that I was. And
what about the masters?
They still had them. They basically, I mean, for the next few weeks, I kind of was like, well, look, I've got receipts for these tapes. I bought these tapes.
Yeah.
So they sent me up to Manchester, a whole new load of tapes, and they kept the masters. I was like, not even, you didn't even ask, or you didn't even, you could have, it was like so weird. It was like, if they would have asked and like, and explained and says, yeah, we'll buy you a new tape, or, I probably would have just gone like, yeah, fair enough, we're working together. I said, no, but like, that was it. I didn't even get dropped from the label or anything. It was just like, nothing. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I start my own label. So that's when I started Juicebox.
Right.
Because I was like, these guys are so what I did and all, because I was friends with the guy that used to cut there. So I used to still use the cutting room. So I used up until probably like Juicebox 7 or something like that. I used their like Sony cutting rooms to cut all my stuff. But yeah, they were really disrespectful, man. Really, really, really disrespectful. So yeah, I just started like my own little label, and basically the rest was history with Juicebox. It was just rolling. I think it was like 4 tracks a week kind of thing. No, 4 tracks a month, and I was basically just putting them out through like this distribution company called Delta Distribution that was in South Wimbledon. So I would just come down to London every so often and
give them the vinyl.
And like must have been like a few months in of doing that. Like somehow, like Goldie got hold of one or something, and then like he called me up in Manchester. I didn't know who he was from. I'm like, talked to my distributor saying, there's some cat called Goldie on my answer machine, like said that you gave him my number, and like, like, I was like, yeah. Anyway, so a few calls in, I just got this call from him and go, yo, call me back, man. I'm not some fucking dickhead. I was like, who the fuck's this guy? Anyway, I called him back, and then like the rest was history with G, man. I was like, man. So I used to actually, like, the first times I kind of came down to London, because I was just doing this stuff in Manchester. And the first times I came down to London, it was like basically just rolling around with him and Randall.
Yeah, got into the soul, yeah.
It was just showing me different places, of which one was Rage.
Right,
but like, Rage was like, uber, man. Like, I was like, wow, like, this is big. I mean, because like, for me, I didn't realise I was putting this stuff, I didn't even realise how big it was.
The effect it was having.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, so you had this kind of like, and again, unfortunately, you've had challenges with the guys from Liverpool, with Voodoo Ray, with 808 State, now with Sony. You know, you start your own label, and as far as I'm concerned, you know, at that time, you know, like Juicebox Records, they were making waves, you know. But I found it quite interesting. I've never thought about it until we've been sat down here now, as to what, you know, when you think about some of the prolific producers of that time, they produce a bunch of records or whatever, life takes over and they disappear from the scene. But you didn't really disappear, yet your trajectory wasn't within the scene. So tell me, Ad, what happened there? Because there's not a lot of people who will, because they weren't there, will have you as synonymous with jungle.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You know, but I do. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of others do because of 28 Gun Bad Boy and the others, which, you know what I mean, we won't get into now. But yeah, so tell me what happened.
Basically, I was focusing on the music a lot, and I moved down to London in, I think it was like 95, or something like that. I came down here and like kind of tried to set up Juicebox operation down here, because like Manchester was getting too crazy for me, and then I brought a few like crew down here to set up with me, kind of offered them positions, like one doing the merchandising and this kind of thing, and I kind of had this thing like, okay, we're gonna try and do like this many tunes per kind of month. I kind of thought that that was the norm. And then like these cats that was with me, they were like, yeah, we need to have some other artists on the label, and I was like, cool, yeah, let's like bring some other people in, and somehow it got really kind of congested and cluttered, and like we had to organize like this tour for this thing, and then things kind of slowed down, and then they wanted to do a re-release of Black Secret Technology, and then there was this other stuff that started to happen. I think like around about 97, like needed to build a website, and this kind of got really clunky, and like, I mean, at the same time, I was just like, I just want to do this music, and I was doing a few remixes here and there, and it seemed like there was all this kind of distractions happening, and as well as like not being able to just sit down in the studio and do stuff the way that I used to. And like, I did some kind of deal and all with Island Records, and I was kind of, part of the deal was I would get like this green card and move over to the States. So I did that.
Yeah, okay.
And I kind of moved over to there to basically try and experiment and get into like what was going on over there in jungle. You know, I did a few bits and pieces, I think Giant Steps and like, you know, through Liquid Sky or something like. There was there was one or two things that I kind of did, but it was not really a kind of, it didn't really kind of stick like I thought. And like somehow the thing with Island didn't like kick the way that I thought it was going to do. So I started to look for a label in New York. I started to work with this label called K7, which was like not they were doing like kind of like more chilled out breakbeaty type stuff, but like they were interested in me doing like an album and like forming like a band over there. So I was like, Actually, that sounds like some good energy. So I kind of started like this little kind of Guy Called Gerald band, and worked on an album, like I called it Essence. It took off for a little bit there, but felt like everything was getting thinned out. And yeah, by that
And
time,
how long is a little bit? How long was you there? How long was you
I was
exploring that
I
as a
was yeah, I'd say around like 5 years.
That's still a good time,
Yeah,
Gerald.
yeah, yeah.
That's still a good little while, man.
Yeah,
5 years.
yeah, I was there for about 5 years, and then like I by the time I kind of
So that brings you into the 2000s
yeah,
now.
yeah. By the time I mean, like I was gonna stay there,
Yeah.
and then the whole September 11th thing happened,
Right.
and
Got you.
then
Yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of made a beeline for Germany, 'cause I kind of
Right.
didn't really
Okay.
want to come back to the UK,
Why
like at the
not?
time, because it was like I'd fallen out with this juice box thing, and like these guys, and like yeah, they'd basically just taken the whole thing into the ground. No one, no one did anything. Like I was like,
Right. Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like
yeah.
basically funded a holiday camp.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And like, actually, it started off by like when my studio got from London to New York, it was like half of it was missing. I was like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
what's going on with this? Anyway, so like the whole thing for me was just like, oh man, like it's just like
It's good you can laugh about
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you
It's
that.
just like, yeah, it was just like this constant kind of thing. But like, yeah, the K7 thing, they were like, yeah, like cool, like we're into whatever you want to do, because like they kind of knew my history, and like I'm just into working and like doing music and changing things. So I basically just went from there to Berlin. I kind of not reinvented myself, but like I just kind of okay, like I'm just going to focus in on doing like different types of music, and like just try and open it up to experimenting, not just be in the one kind of
It's
area.
brilliant.
and
Yeah, yeah. It's
and
brilliant.
like
Brilliant.
the technology was changing at the
Mm,
same time. Things got getting a bit more kind of software and computer.
mm,
Went on a few different tours with Tricky and a few different people, and like
mm.
kind of just decided, yeah, I'm just gonna go more into like vocals and like experimenting and everything from jazz to ambient to breaks to
And was this in a commercial capacity, like, or was it just like, oh, I'm just a producer in my studio, I've got a few quid in the bank, I can just have some fun.
yeah.
Yeah, is that what that's what that was?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was more, yeah, it's experimenting. It was just like
Right.
I don't I'm like for me the commercial thing kind of meant basically like what it's been for the
Yeah, yeah,
past
yeah. So your
30 odd
experience of
years.
commercial as a commercial
Yeah,
producer hasn't been very good.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There
yeah,
was
yeah.
always like this kind of entity that and and like to be honest, like all was in my heart was
Mm.
just to create.
Yeah, so that
You
must
know,
have been really nice for you then, being in Berlin
yeah,
and going back to like grassroots,
yeah,
which is like I'm in the studio, I'm making some music, I'm making some creations
right,
of various types,
yeah,
and what have you. And I'd imagine now that you're sort of like still within the 2000 to 2010 era. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
No,
You're
it's just like I'd kind of just started like I'll do like breaks with like strings and vocals, and like then I'll kind of beat it out to be like more kind of ambienty, and I'll kind of revisit some early jungle stuff even, and like I'll so I just bring in loads of different elements from places, and there are some people that admire some of that early stuff compared to some of the stuff that kind of came later.
Okay, so you're in Berlin and you're having a well of a time experimenting, and you're kind of like in
Mm.
your safe haven of production.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do we go from there? What happened to Gerald between the time you got to Berlin and I don't want to say until now, but what was the
Yeah.
next sort of like avenue or phase of
Um,
your career till then?
I got into like a few kind of, you might as well call it random different things in a way, like studio production, like as in building the studios and stuff like that. I was like really heavily looking at trying to find ways of making like my perfect studio kind of thing. Cause like at the time, places over there was really cheap. So like at one point I had like different studios.
Mm.
And like I remember trying to do this kind of floating room type thing, like, you know, isolating the room and insulating it and getting into that kind of side of things. The software type thing was another thing that I'd kind of tried to get into. I managed to get in contact with Roland, who had been like kind of like the heartbeat of what I've been doing from when I was a teenager,
Yeah, yeah,
basically.
yeah.
So I kind of got into the kind of in a way. No, it wasn't by accident. It was by accident in a way. Like I'd got back to the okay. Let me just go out and do like a whole kind of analog setup type thing.
Mhm.
And like one of the first gigs was in Japan, in Tokyo, and like the boss of Roland turned up.
Wow.
And like after the gig, like I had some like talks with him, and like I was like, yeah, I would love to help you out,
Mm.
basically. And like so, like we kind of talked about where they, because like at the time, this kind of push thing we came out for Ableton and all this stuff,
Mhm.
and I'd kind of worked with Native Instruments on this tractor thing like really early, and like so I was kind of like swapping notes with
Yeah.
these guys, and like they put me in contact with the younger people at Roland, and we kind of came up with a few. I came up with a few different ideas that I'd kind of just give them to work with, kind of
In
thing.
terms of software to
Yeah,
create. Yeah, yeah. Right. Okay.
software to hardware type things.
Right. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And they created them?
and they started like this new type of system they call analog circuit behavior,
Mhm.
basically zeros and ones mimicking circuitry.
Right.
So
Okay.
like they could recreate like any of the old school like classical machines that, you know.
Mm.
So like that was kind of like where I kind of ended up, and still kind of like wanting to produce new and different types of music.
Mm. Yeah.
So
And now it's starting that you've joined the dots for me certainly because I did get this feeling of like you being quite eclectic in what
mm,
you play,
yeah,
what you build, and it seemed at the time anyway far removed from Voodoo Ray and well, obviously I didn't know about Pacific State, but far removed from Voodoo Ray, as is 28 Gun Bad Boy far removed from Voodoo
right,
Ray.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? I find that really kind of like fascinating that Roland would come specifically to come and see you out of like respect almost, you know what I mean? Like the
yeah,
head of it to say like, listen, you know, he's clearly been watching you,
right,
you know, and
yeah,
then to go into that arena, which I don't think there's a lot of people who've done that,
yeah,
like come from producer, DJ, performer
yeah,
to, you know, software development
yeah,
almost, you
yeah,
know. So yeah, I commend you on that, you know. So okay, so you've got you're working with Roland. What is Gerald doing now? Because I think now we're getting closer to, you know what I mean? You know,
yeah,
like you the point of like your live performances,
yeah,
and I know I've been kind of like keeping abreast of some of them. But you tell me, from that sort of like 2000 mid 2000s then
yeah.
to now, what does that look like?
Since the whole helping out to develop things with Roland, well, I've always been in with the live thing, but like now, I'm kind of wanting to have it like really just basically to the bone. So going back, revisiting some like old albums, basically, kind of getting ready for like, you know, the kind of the celebration of okay, like it's been 30 years of Black Secret Technology, and like kind of revisiting, and like I'm doing it with Jungle Drummer, and actually my brothers kind of come on board to
Oh,
do
really?
some vocals.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant.
And a singer
Going full
called
circle.
Yokai. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, just bringing some different things into the mix, and like who knows where it can develop from.
I mean, you mentioned the album, you know, like revisiting it and whatever, but we didn't really speak about that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because it was quite a seminal one. Tell me a little bit more about the ethos behind it
yeah,
and now revisiting it all
Right.
these years later?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So like I did like I would say like one kind of breakbeat album before Black Secret Technology, which was like my first kind of jungle stroke drum and bass type album.
Mm.
I at the time had been doing like a few things with Juicebox, experimenting like between like kind of what they might call jump up jungle rave kind of vibe around about 1992.
Mm.
um and then I kind of developed from that into more of an experimental vocalish type thing, using more like pads and like basically just trying to take the break into a new kind of realm
Yeah.
with like what we had for sampling technology at the time. So like around about 95 I did another album called Black Secret Technology. Yeah, it kind of was, I think, breaking the barrier from what was going on before, like, which was more like just charging, jumping
Yeah, yeah,
kind
that's
of
right.
vibe.
Like going 100 miles an
Yeah.
hour. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we wanted to make it so, cause like, in my head, like, at the time, like albums were still a thing, just like a piece of work from start to finish kind of thing, like a journey
Yeah, of
concept
course. Yeah, yeah,
type
yeah.
thing. So Black Secret Technology was kind of like a kind of heading or
Mhm.
trying to do something on that vibe.
And I suppose now revisiting that, how is that looking like? And in
It's
what way how are you revisiting it?
basically using like some of the sounds, some of the kind of breaks and stuff, like like now we can go in with like a different technology. Basically back then it was all sample based stuff. Like now you can put all this stuff through software and kind of enhance it and redo
Mm,
it. So like I basically dug out a load of old samples and like old like loops and things, and kind of basically just got back into it, and
mm, mm.
not try to get too far away from it, but like try to find ways of rejigging it.
Revisiting it,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And will that be something you're just going to perform, or something you're out to hoping to release as well?
I think mainly for performance.
Mm,
Like release wise, I kind of learnt my lesson over the
mm,
past
mm, mm.
35 years or something. So we're actually looking at new ways of trying to find a secure place for artists, performers to like release
Mm.
music without it being disturbed by people who want to take the profit away.
Yes,
For one,
yeah.
that's to put it nicely.
And this is something you're currently working on
Um,
as an entity.
trying to touch on different things, but like looking forward to something where the artist is going to be rewarded, because I believe that like if the artist is rewarded, the quality of the music is going to step up.
Mm.
So
Yeah, well, we've seen that already, where so many artists. I mean, I'm just looking at from within the jungle scene,
yeah,
who have, I mean, some phenomenal producers who are just
yeah,
not there anymore.
exactly,
And the reason they're not there anymore is because they then had to go and make a living
yeah.
by other means, because this living wasn't
It
paying
was yeah,
enough.
yeah.
We need to reinvigorate it. I
But
mean,
that's one level, but like I think from where I'm coming from,
yeah,
because of my experience in the past few decades, I would say we just need a radical, like, music people basically just cut everyone off, almost like blockchain your music,
yeah,
have a system where like as a like as PRS, where PRS basically goes around taxing everyone, and then like basically they put everything in a pot, and then like something comes out of it, and like you basically, they tell you how much you've earned, like basically, like with numbers, and music is actually numbers.
mm,
Like it's I think it's 100% feasible for us, like as music people, to basically calculate and like work out how much is being distributed and like streamed without the use of a father figure or anybody else
Yeah.
outside. And you probably find that there is enough money there
Mm.
for people to
Live
to
comfortably.
live comfortably and create like
Mm.
new musics and
Mm.
doing all sorts of other things within the music industry without having this out of body, which is basically just sapping the
Mm.
life out of it. But like, what people are slowly like waking up to the fact that, look, we've got all these mechanisms that, like, if you basically jigsaw them together,
Mm.
like you basically, you could have it almost as if like you make the music and then like you watch your bank account and nobody else is
Yeah, you
involved.
know, really interesting you said it. I
That's
remember at the time, this was going back in 2000s. We were working on a project. In fact, we came and we filmed you for part of that project. And there was an artist, who I won't say his name right now, but he had said to me about a model that he was doing where they were just starting out. They had a lot of issues with clawing back the rights for the music they had made over the years,
yeah,
which they finally got the rights to. In fact, no, they didn't get the rights. They had to remake it.
yeah, yeah.
So they've had to remake
Because these
this
people are
music
so
again.
sticky. Yeah,
Yeah,
you would have
because
to.
of it, which was unfortunate, but they did
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
And then they went on to like start to pay their artists and what have you. And they said the way they were doing it was just saying that you couldn't access them if you wanted it.
Right,
You had to buy it directly from them.
right.
And by doing that, they were then able to
Mm,
pay like considerable sums to their artists
yeah.
because people wanted the music.
Yeah, it makes sense because I mean,
Mm.
there's basically this mechanism, you might as well call it, has been built up from the days when there was sheet music,
Mm.
like publishers, and like basically there's always been like this thing on the back of the creator of the music that like has basically got heavier and heavier over time.
What would you say to, with your experience, and it's considerable experience, especially in this area where we're talking about, which I had a funny feeling we would get
Mm,
round to speaking about in this podcast. What would you say to a new producer,
mm.
a new creator
Yeah,
then?
yeah.
A new creator, a seasoned creator,
Hmm.
and a creator in between somewhere who has sat there, made some records in the past, you know, had a whale of a time at some point, but now is sat there paying his mortgage, he's got his four
Yeah,
kids, but always thought to himself, you know, I wouldn't mind doing a little bit more music, you
right.
know, but the time I'm going to use to do it and the trade-off
Yeah,
for what I'm going to
exactly.
get from it, you know what, I'll stay working where I am in the
Right.
office. What would you say to those three
Okay.
people?
Maybe different things to each of them. Like
Yeah.
if anyone who actually does have any intellectual property out there,
Mm.
and they want to get their portfolio together, and kind of, you know, like monetize it, I would say first of all join IFPI, which like is an international. It's like basically having an ISBN number for
Mm.
your music, so you get that digital watermark. It's free of charge.
Mm.
You get that for your music. You plonk that onto your music, and then there's I said, oh, right
Sorry, you plonk that onto all of the previous
yeah.
music. Yeah. Okay.
And everything that you've got, anything that you're gonna make, like you basically your catalog,
Mm.
basically.
Will that secure them from that point on, or does it have a mechanism to support them
I
from
think
retrospectively?
legally, like you could go 5 years previous,
Mm.
but like that's what they say. But like, you know, they're so sticky that you probably would only get it from now
When you
on.
take, yeah.
But like if everybody does it, then like these people are just like left they're left scratching in the dirt, like, you know,
Mm.
because like they earn so much money from people who are not claiming anything, people who are unaware of what's available. And I would just, I mean, there's things that I'm not aware of, but like I would say, you actually, as you know, as learning Ableton or Logic or any of these things, you can at the same pace you can learn about what you can collect
Mm.
from the music that you've actually made.
Mm.
You'd be surprised, like now, even more so than like when we had like demo tapes. Like
Mm.
as soon when you put your music out there is so many avenues open for it. Like your
Mm.
music can end up in movies, in games,
Mm.
and anywhere. So like if you actually see it as your portfolio and you start basically pinning it down, and making sure that no one can touch it. You don't need any managers. You don't need like record label, because these things kind of don't need to exist anymore. Like everything is basically with your music is basically like numbers. So you can have like serial numbers on your music. So like every time it's streamed, like it's basically like there's a mechanism that is actually reading your serial number, finding out how many people are basically listening or streaming it, and then calculating from like what is earned, like and what you're owed, and like all that stuff can happen automatically without anybody.
You just need to take the
That's
time
being
to
involved.
sit up, pay attention, learn it for that period of time, and then it's done.
Same way, same way as you would learn Ableton, or these things are, and basically it's more available now, and this is why a lot of these companies are being so like greedy and so callous, because they know that their time is limited. Because like people now people are realizing there's all these mechanisms out there that can actually earn money from. Maybe it might seem like a little bit of money at a time, but like if you're streaming like and you're earning like 2p from this many streams, that's crazy. I mean, like, you know, there's a lot more. I mean, like basically it's calculated on how many people are listening, and like basically a lot of there's a big pot of money, say like from PRS, which you should join. All these agencies, I think it's good to join anyway. Anyone who's collecting license from public places and putting that in a pot, like if you join that organization, and like you basically get them to actually look exactly at what's going on in your situation with like their collection, which you could do with an accountant, or I think in the future it would, or even now I'm sure, like you can do all this stuff with AI, like, you know, basically get these people to accurately calculate how much your thing is actually bringing in, and like then you take that much from the pot. I mean, this is, I mean, if even if they're not allowed to do that now, or that this is a future model.
You know, I'm listening to this, what you're saying. You know what comes to mind? Comes to mind that, you know, you have schools that teach you how to produce.
Yeah.
You have schools that teach you, you know, about the industry. I think there's a school that should be there for this type of thing.
Definitely, 100%.
I think that somebody could stop for a moment and go, if you work it all out, and then go, come here, we'll teach you the model for today.
The basics,
for today's language of music industry.
This should be the basics.
Yeah, absolutely.
This should be the basics. And I think
I think it should go, sorry to interrupt you, I think that should therefore go in hand with a school that's teaching you music production.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this should be like maybe even like lesson one. Lesson one, you know, protect you, because like you're gonna run off and you're gonna go out
make
there,
this music, and then you're gonna first thing you want to do is put it online so that people can listen to it.
Exactly.
And as they listen to it, they're just listening to it for free. They're having a whale of a time, but somebody else is creaming off of your work, where you just think, oh great, someone's liked my record.
In the future, I think myself, like I have a vision of like you basically you make the music, you're going to be so excited because you know as soon as you've got that music kind of finished in your digital audio workstation and you press save as, it automatically all this mechanism
starts to kick
worked
in.
out. It's already blockchained and it's out there.
And
then you just look at your phone and you go ka-ching, 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 ka-ching.
Yeah.
Without no record company guy.
I think you should step it up, man. Go and have a chat with some of your friends, bro. Step up.
This is coming, man. This is coming.
Yeah, step up, man. I'll be right there, ready to just sign on the dotted line.
It might start off as little fractions, you know, like because you know how Bitcoin stuff works, but it doesn't even have to be that. It's just like you like basically making music is mining.
Yeah.
So like you're mining by making your tune, and the better your tune is, the better, like, you know, the more... That way we're going to get some bad tunes, isn't it?
That's right. Gerald, I've got a couple more questions for you, but one of them is this. Are we going to air any more full-on jungle from you, like from 28 gun bad boy jungle, current steppers, lick off your head, jungle from Gerald.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I'm still making it like totally like 100%. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
like when I'm doing this live thing with Jungle Drummer, we've basically been like, doing some new kind of fresh steppers too,
Wicked,
You know what
wicked.
I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh,
that's
I look forward to hearing
yeah,
some of that, man. Do you know what I mean?
thank you.
And then,
Thanks.
and then in terms of like, I think we're gonna close on this. You know what I mean? In terms of this, I mean, you are probably one of the longest standing producers, considering your age when you started.
Yeah.
Not just producers. That's the wrong way of putting it. Chart worthy, chart topping producers then,
Mm.
from a very long time ago to now. What advice would you share for people kind of getting into it? I mean, we didn't get through that
Yeah.
question just now,
Yeah.
but
I would try to be independent as possible. Um, like, use the tools that are available. I mean, like now I wish like I was like 16 again and like I had all the mechanism, all the tools that are available now. Write as much as you can, like save as much as you can. More as independent you are,
yeah.
I think the better you're going to be in the future. And it
Mm.
might not even be your future, it might be your kids' future even. Like if that music that you make, you might not even think anything of it, and that could blow up. Like now it could blow up in 10 years time, 20 years time. You don't know what your future is going to be or anything, but like if you've got that thing protected, no one can touch it. Like you don't know, man. Like
And the last question I think I would say would be, what would you say to those who say, well, you know, it's all well and good kind of like thinking about, making stuff and being independent and doing whatever, but there's so many more people doing it now. How am I going to cut through?
You know what I mean? Even if there's a lot of people doing it, that means that it's worth something. If it's like if it is of value, it is if not of mental value. For me personally, like I don't care if there's 2 million people, 10 billion people, or even 5 people doing it. It's like for me, it's for my mental stability to be able to do it. Like if people enjoy it, then that's even all the better. If you can like make something of it and like do something with it, then it is of value, and like you should find some way to monetize it. I'm sorry for going on about the money side of it
No, don't
more
be sorry. It's
because
really important.
like
It's really
I
important.
grew up with the facts of like I just wanted a studio, I just wanted to do the music, and like so many people kind of stepped in on that and took that to make their own game out of it. That I'm like, nah, like lock your stuff down and like basically make it yours, share it with people, find ways of sharing it with them, but make sure that that thing is actually yours. You own it. Make sure you let the people know who you're working with that you own your thing. Like, they can enjoy it, but it's yours. You own it. If they want to enjoy it, yeah, you might even want to do a deal with them. Like I would say never sell, always license, or never, rent. So you can, like, if you've got your thing and someone is interested in it, they can like rent it out for you, and like you can come to agreement where you come to a little share, but that thing is always yours because it's going to be your kids in the long run. Like when that's the way that the law works, is that that thing that you've made come from your head is yours. The other day I got this thing on artificial intelligence to actually write me out like a 6-page thing on like how to collect revenue. And it was actually, I found out there's like even 7 different ways just from the one piece of intellectual property, 7 different ways to collect on that one piece of property. So can you imagine, like, if you've got like an entire library of things with like 7 times ways of collecting?
Yeah. That's right.
Man, like, there's got to be
Yeah, that's
at
right.
least
Yeah.
2 houses in that or something. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
for me, it's exciting times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's leveling the playing field.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, and these things and all is bringing value back to the music. And like at the end of the day, what I want is beautiful music. I don't want someone just like, okay, yeah, I'm just like gonna bang this out so I can get a few DJ gigs, and then there's no actual, You know, I want someone who's kind of sat there like, yeah, man, like my first tunes like felt like this, and I'm like really feeling good about it. And then you imagine that person feeling good about that music, and they're writing another piece of music, knowing that it's going to bring in the same feeling.
Yeah. Well, I really hope that there'll be people watching and listening this. It just came to me just now that people watching and listening to this who have been producers in the past, people who are producers now, but I'm thinking more about those who have given up on their producing sort of like days, or you know, thoughts of like I don't really have enough time, or you know, who need to monetize it, who would need to look about their time versus the money they're going to get back.
They put that in.
Yeah. What is there going to be the return from
Imagine
that?
they sat there on that or something.
Yeah. It would be great for those people to listen to this and be inspired in some way or motivated in some way to have a little look at what they've done in the past, how potentially that could serve them now, and also to consider what sitting down for a few hours a week while they've got their kids or while they've got their mortgages to pay, how that might work out for them, because it's a shame to miss out on the joy of music production, and you're there making something at home that to you is just like a little something that you made, but if you put it out there, you have that infrastructure in place, you could be getting a trickle of something.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Yeah, it's there to do, man. It's there, seriously. It's there to do.
Thanks, Gerald. I really appreciate you coming through.
No,
man.
thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Hopefully, like it's going to prick someone's ears up, and they're going to be like,
yeah. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. It certainly pricked my ears up. I'm going to go through my back catalogue.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm running back home to go through my back catalogue right now.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? Right?